Welcome to the Dork Forest. Jackie and her pals will never bore us. Shameless confessions
about our obsession
will make us laugh and smile. So let's explore the Dork Forest and dork out for a while.
Hey, it's Jackie Cation. Welcome to the Dork Forest. You know the websites, JackieCation.com, DorkForest.com, TheDorkForest.com, FamilyPetAncestry.com. You're probably already there. Let's do the credits. Mike Rickberg composed and sang that song with his wife Sarah that you just heard. He's going to sing his version of the Mexican hat dance at the end of the program. Patrick Brady is going to fix this audio, and Vilmos works on JackieCation.com, the website. There are many ways to support the show. The Amazon link is one. You can use an Amazon link from JackieCation.com or DorkForest.com to go to Amazon. You order like normal, and it supports the show. There is a straight-up donation button, PayPal or Venmo, to this email address that is mine, Jackie at JackieCation.com, where you can just donate to the show if you like the show a lot. I think PayPal has figured out a way to do a monthly. If you want to go monthly, please do. Other ways to support the show if you want to is you can buy merch. There's Dork Forest t-shirts, and all the shirts are union made here in America, so they run a little big. Union Bayside, so if you want to look up their size chart. And then the other merch is my stand-up merch. On JackieCation.com, you can watch me do stand-up, you can look at my schedule, and the stand-up merch, a couple of different t-shirts, couple of different enamel pins, and all my CDs and my DVD. If you want to live stream my DVD, it's over there at comedyfilmnerds.com. They have a live streaming capability, or you can get a hard copy of the DVD on my website. Oh, there are premium episodes at Bandcamp. TheDorkForest.bandcamp.com has probably 10 episodes that were done live. They cost me a couple of bucks to make, so I charge you a couple of bucks. If you've run out of regular episodes, go over to TheDorkForest.bandcamp.com and get some more. Other than that, I say this. Let's get into the show. Hello and welcome to what I think might become a pattern of spoiler episodes. And this one, we just went, Andy and I. It is with Andy AshCRAFT. Hello and welcome to the program, Andy AshCRAFT.
Hi, thank you.
Welcome to the Dork Forest in your own home.
In my own home, on my own couch.
On your own couch, with your own lady friend.
With my own wife.
I am wife. You are husband. We are doing it. Anyway.
Not at the moment.
No, not. No, my gosh. But we went and saw Spiderman, Far and Away.
We did that.
And we did do that. And the episode about, I think it was Captain Marvel or Endgame, the one where we did the spoiler episode, was so much fun. It was so well received.
Oh.
That I...
Well, gosh.
I thought, why be married to a long box?
Right.
Another dick joke. And not take advantage of that. Because I know things about comic books now, but nothing compared to what you know. And then, of course, there's someone else who's dipped even more. It's true with all dorkdoms.
It's true. There'll be people who know more than me,
or dipped into different parts of the water.
That's right.
Quite honestly, but we went and saw Spider-Man, Far and Away, and
right.
this will be Far From Home, right?
Far From Home.
Yep. And so this will be a spoiler episode. If you have not seen Spider-Man or Endgame, we're going to talk about all of it.
That's right. Or even Captain Marvel.
Or even Captain Marvel.
Don't.
Oh, that's right.
Don't listen back. Don't listen any further than right now.
Yeah. Just find a different
episode. 3 seconds to turn off the machine.
Right. Skip this episode. It's a spoiler app. Okay. We went. We saw it.
We did.
It was super fun.
It's great.
Turns out we enjoyed it.
Yes. It was made for us. We enjoyed it.
It was made for us. He does such a good job. And this is only the second Spider-Man movie.
Right, but the fifth movie that this Spider-Man has been in, because he was in Civil War, and then his own movie.
Right.
And then in both
Ultron,
of the Avengers.
And then
not Ultron.
Wasn't he in Ultron?
No.
Oh, he was in Civil War.
Civil War.
And then he was in Endgame and the one before it, the other Thanos one.
Yeah, yep.
Infinity Gauntlet.
Yep, the two Thanos Avengers movies.
That's right. And now this one.
And now this one. So it's movie number 5 with the Spider-Man in it, and he's great.
Right, and the first movie was so good. I love that.
So good.
The first Spider-Man movie with Michael Keaton as the Vulture.
Yep.
Was outstanding.
Outstanding.
All of the characters were super fun.
Yep.
And interesting.
Yep.
And
Vulture is the smartest villain that they've written for any of the Marvel movies. He's the smartest villain they've written.
Really?
Yep, I think so.
Okay. It's wow, I can't even think of the other. Well, I mean, there's the Iron Man villains.
Right.
They're always Loki's a pretty good villain.
Loki's a good villain, but he's not necessarily a very smart villain.
True. What I always thought about the Vulture, just we'll back up to the first Spider-Man movie,
back up.
was that I could see why he did the things he did.
Yep.
I mean, he chose a life of crime.
He chose a life of crime.
Because he had been cheated out of something, and he could not, and there was injustice.
Right.
That this was taken from him.
Yep.
But he did not regroup and get into some other work.
Right.
He decided instead to become a cheater and a bad guy.
Right. And he was smart enough
To do it.
to do it.
And that plot that he had to steal all that Chitauri stuff
Yep.
was amazing.
Yep. And it would have totally worked.
Right.
If it wasn't
Happy
for-
would have been in such hot water. Holy smokes,
It's
would
true.
Happy have been in some trouble.
That's true. But Spider-Man got in the way.
Right.
As Spider-Man does.
He really does.
And foils villains' plans because he's at this point, he's a brand new hero. Nobody knows anything about him.
Right.
So how could they possibly plan for
Right. He's an
something like
unknown.
that? He's absolutely unknown.
They don't even know what that is. And so he has spider powers, which is super strength, crawling on walls. And then he's science guy, so he makes the webs.
Right. And so,
Okay.
yes,
So this movie starts after Endgame.
correct.
The blip happened.
Right. It starts off with that hilarious montage the video of the high school news.
Yeah, that was because I did the high school news for a small amount of time in high school.
Oh, did you?
And we were just as terrible. It was this weird flat. The color correction was terrible. There was the script was off. We were
Yep.
all super stilted.
Yep.
And
Just like
those the video, and they opened it up with this heartrending tribute in memoriam to
to
the fallen.
the fallen heroes,
Iron Man, Captain America, Black Widow, Vision, and
and then Iron Man again.
Iron Man again. That's two. Edith. So yeah, so that's amazing, and they talk about the blip, and they name the frickin' blip.
They call it the blip. The blip is the 5-year period that people stopped existing, and then they showed a hilarious example of the high school basketball game, where
Right.
people ceased to
Exist during halftime with the band.
With the band, and then 5 years later, the band again on stage.
They
when everybody
reappear.
appears.
But in the middle of a game, so they all get tackled, and so everybody who blipped away did not age 5 years, and everyone who stayed aged 5 years.
Right.
So like the kid was talking about how his little brother was now his older brother,
Right.
and how weird it was, and it's just.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
hilarious.
so the blip is funny. They don't. What I do like about Spider-Man, like they didn't give us his origin story in the first movie, and in this movie, they didn't do a lot of explanation about an announcement that they were going to go on a science trip.
Nope.
Essentially, he's leaving tomorrow on a science trip.
Yep.
That's it. We don't need to. Who cares?
There was the chat with him and Ned in the cafeteria that MJ
plan?
interrupts, where they're literally planning what they're going to do on their science trip.
Right.
They've somehow managed to.
There doesn't seem any science on this trip, by the way.
No science on this trip. It actually gets mentioned too.
Right. But there didn't look like there was any science even planned.
Right.
And those two chaperones were very much for comic relief.
Very much so.
It was the witch finder from Good Omens. And essentially, it was like the witch finder guy and then
And
the
Beardo.
Beardo, whose wife pretended to blip.
That's right.
Remember? She pretended to blip and she ran away with somebody. Oh my God. And he had a funeral for her and everything. Oh, that was brutal. What a great way to disappear when the blip happens. Oh my God. So they go and Spider-Man has a plan. He wants to tell MJ that he likes her.
That's right. He's gonna reveal his love for MJ to her on the top of the Eiffel Tower,
Right,
Because
with
it's
a-
her favorite place in the world because it has some sort of weird dark history.
Right, some death thing, and he's going to give her a gothy Dahlia, Murano
Black
glass
Dahlia
because of the murders. There's Black Dahlia murders. Somebody told me
Here in
about
Los
it
Angeles,
at one point. Okay, and then famous murder. So they go. It turns out it doesn't work out. Andy.
Right.
I don't know if you know this.
It turns out there's elementals are from another dimension.
Oh, right. So Fury
are invading the Earth.
and Anita Hill show up in Mexico because the cyclone had a face.
Right.
And then
And they meet
with
Quentin Beck.
Beck.
Also known, although at this point he hasn't named himself, Mysterio. The kids name him Mysterio, by the way,
because of the Italian
television called him
a man of mystery.
The man of mystery, which is something
Mysterio.
Mysterio, and they're like, oh, he's Mysterio,
right?
And it sticks.
And
he likes it.
He likes it. And you knew that Mysterio wasn't a good. This is a spoiler.
Spoiler: Mysterio is not a good guy.
Mysterio has never been a good guy,
but he's pretty convincing.
Yeah.
He's convincing as a hero.
Mm-hmm. He's a better actor than he is in the comic books.
Like a science hero guy. He's got a suit.
Yep.
That he can do. He can fly around. He can shoot blasts. He can do. Who knows what all he does.
And he's fighting these giant elementals.
That
he mentions of science. Oh, right. Well, no, we haven't met him yet.
Right. So these elementals attack. They're in Venice. These elementals attack. The water elemental comes up out of the water, and then
Spider-Man has to help. He tries to help.
Yep. Right. Spider-Man tries to help. But Mysterio comes swooping in and
saves the day.
And saves the day. There's a big fight. Mysterio. A lot of Venice is destroyed. I felt really bad for Venice.
I felt really bad for all of these towns, but for some reason New York has been destroyed so many times. I don't feel bad for it.
And Venice is a historical.
Old. It's super old.
Yeah, it should be take better care of Venice.
Right when they went into the Crown Jewels, I was like, "Did you just knock over a 600-year-old suit of armor? What is happening?"
Yes. Later on when they're in London.
Right. I was just like, I don't like this. This is discouraging. Prague? Why are you I haven't got to Prague yet. I want to see Prague before Mysterio and the elementals destroy it.
And then Mysterio he's sort of flying around this giant water elemental monster. And I think to myself, I think this is shot for shot exactly the way that Syndrome flies around the giant robot that he's pretending to defeat
in The Incredibles, the first
Incredibles. And so I did come home
and put it on.
We plugged it in, and I'm not exactly right. There's a few things that are a little reminiscent, but that the scene in The Incredibles is really short.
Right, it might be derivative. I mean, he might be like, oh.
But I did think it.
You thought it in the moment.
In the moment, in the theater.
Right.
That I think that's the same sort of swooping around the giant monster.
Yes. I thought it was funny that the kid in the chair got a girlfriend before Peter Parker. Ned. Ned is supposed to help him sit next to MJ.
The 9-hour flight, there's a plan for Ned to help Peter get sat next to MJ, and Peter's bought a headphone splitter so that he and MJ can watch movies together. And that goes awry.
Sadly awry.
And Ned ends up sitting next to the
Betsy. What the heck's her name?
Betsy Bryant, I think.
Okay. Is that real? Is that a real character?
Yeah, I'm not sure that's who. I don't remember now whether they gave her last name or not. But they call her Betty or Betsy. Mm-hmm. And it might be Betty or Betsy Bryant who ends up in the comics as J. Jonah Jameson's secretary.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah, and
there's a little Easter egg.
Yeah, there's a little thing.
I didn't notice a lot of Easter eggs in this thing, but we've only seen it once so far.
Right. We normally see this. We'll see a Marvel movie at least twice.
Right. So we've only seen it once.
Right.
But I have not seen sort of. I didn't notice anything because in the ads when we saw the giant water guy, you thought it might be Hydro Man.
Right.
And it was not. These are illusions because Mysterio.
Yes, because Mysterio in the comics, Mysterio is special effects guy.
Oh, right. He's a Hollywood special effects guy.
He's a Hollywood special effects guy, and he creates these illusions and holograms and things.
Right.
And very similar he is in the movies, although he's not a Hollywood guy.
No, he's a Stark guy.
He's a Stark guy. He's a guy. Remember back in Iron Man? I think it's the beginning of Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
Stark is presenting this sort of holographic memory machine.
Oh, to do therapy.
He
can reframe the last
and we get to see
moments of his parents.
Right. Young Howard. Or maybe no. I think it's actually at the beginning of Civil War.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah. It's at the beginning of Civil War, and he's recreated this not very touching moment with his mom and dad. The last time he got to see his mom and dad alive before they were killed, and
it was a therapy machine that he renamed Barf. And it made Quentin Beck infuriated.
Right,
infuriated him.
And then Quentin Beck got fired for being
a madman.
We learn all this later in the middle of the Spider-Man movie after Quentin Beck has tricked Spider-Man out of a pair of high-tech Stark sunglasses.
Yeah,
and.
By the way, high-tech Stark sunglasses that were with an AI, with an artificial intelligence named Edith.
Edith.
And Edith stands for?
Even dead, I'm the hero.
Such an Iron Man tool bag thing to do. And that scene in the bar was so great. We were talking about how...
So this is in this scene, Quentin Beck, who's befriended Spider-Man and Peter Parker, and because they fought off these monsters now together, or seemingly have fought off these monsters together. Turns out they're illusions.
Right.
Because
Fury has found him.
Right.
Nick Fury has found him in Venice and recruited him and gotten him a new. Oh wait, that's after. Yeah. So. Yeah, because he gives them the sunglasses in Venice.
In Prague.
It is in Prague?
Yeah, it's in Prague. So
okay.
they're in the second city at this point. They moved to Prague, and so he gives Peter Parker, who's stressed out by the idea that the world is going to expect him to be the next Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Gives his glasses to Beck, who he thinks is basically a better version, a better candidate for being the next Tony Stark.
Right.
And it turns out that's what Mysterio wanted all along.
Right. And the weird thing is I figured he was a bad guy because I had heard and I had seen the articles.
You read a few comics, like the
one that we just read.
Yeah.
Was but that was a flashback one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's back to it's Peter David writing. It's called Spider-Man Symbiote.
Oh, right.
And it's stories. It's a comic book set in the 1980s, when in the brief period of time that Spider-Man was wearing the symbiote costume before it was revealed that the symbiote costume was a horrible alien monster that becomes
Venom. Right. So Peter's wearing that costume, and he fights Mysterio in that comic book.
So we've actually seen Mysterio, right? Recently.
Right. So, and I just read that comic book for the first, but that's the only Mysterio comic I read. So when we go into this, if I hadn't known he was a bad guy, when he tells Peter Parker that the sunglasses don't look good on him, that's when I would have known that he was a bad guy. Because they did look good on him. I thought they looked really nice on him. No?
No.
Okay, I thought he looked pretty good on him. Yeah. Though they did look better on Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yes.
And he
Gyllenhaal or Gyllenhaal? Is it GIF or GIF?
Who cares? I know that he went to high school with our nephew, young Paul Boyer.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And so the banana thing, the craziness is, so he says, you're going to be a better version of a new Iron Man than I would be.
Right.
Here are these glasses. He walks out. The entire bar is full of actors and people who used to work at Stark who all got fired that he has recruited because they're bitter. And
they're bitter
and
people.
We realize that they're all illusions and that they're amazing illusions.
Like everything in the bar is fake.
Well, all the people, all the monsters were
all
projectors and drones.
Yep, drones with real stuff, and then holographic projectors sort of made a reality around them.
Right. So that and Mysterio or Quentin Beck could control the Mysterio illusion from a computer on his arm.
Yeah.
From afar, like he would watch and run the simulator.
It was remote control the whole way.
Yeah, remote control simulator the whole time.
And then even the bits where we'd see Mysterio flying around were just part of the hologram.
Right, which I didn't realize until when they're in that sort of hologram deck, and he steps away from the outfit.
Yeah.
And the outfit just stays there, and I'm like, oh, I think that the outfit's not real. It's just a VR.
That's right.
Oh, all those scenes, the virtual reality scenes were amazing too.
They're all great.
With Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, when Mysterio goes full on in illusion attack mode on Spider-Man, it's amazing.
It was really amazing. He makes Spider-Man look different. How does he do it? What? I know that it's not real, but sort of the way your eyes widened. But I was just like, how would it affect?
How did he do it? Indeed.
How could he affect Spider-Man with just cameras?
He's just projecting a hologram onto Spider-Man.
Okay, all right. Well, there was a point when it pulled me out because I was just thinking.
You were thinking like that doesn't seem. It went a little too unrealistic for you.
Well, and then like the whole room would disappear, and then a new room would disappear.
Yeah.
And but what I did like in the bar was when when he was introducing the other bad guys, and then they showed clips from the other movies that the bad guys were in.
Yeah.
Deep into the long boxes.
Deep into the long boxes. We got. I don't know whether there was a clip from Civil War.
There was a clip from the first Iron Man.
There was a clip from the first Iron Man, which is great.
Right.
And that guy was right
same
there.
Actor.
Like same actor and everything.
Yep.
And then they had a clip from Civil War, like looking at the stage from the side of the stage, and it was Quentin Beck. It was Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh right. Which I don't know if it was in the real movie.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that was.
We may
in
have
the
to
real
put
movie.
that
Yeah,
in.
we'd have
Check
to
that out.
Check that out too.
Because he called, and I don't remember him calling it barf in Civil War. And we just watched Civil War before Endgame.
Yeah, and I don't remember it being called what it was called either.
That's weird. But then there were some other references like the costume woman and the other things that weren't.
Everybody was basically a disgruntled ex-Stark employee.
Yes. And so Stark Tech causes troubles from the
that's
grave.
Right. From the grave. Stark Tech is still causing troubles. It's now been the troubling the worst, like the main problem in what 5-6 movies.
Right. I mean because he created Ultron even though Hank Pym did in the comics.
Yep.
And I think
the extremis armor that gets stolen in Iron Man 3.
Oh, okay. Was that Hank Pym as well?
No, that was more Iron. That was basically more Stark Tech going.
Right.
Of course, all of the Iron Man movies are all about Stark Tech going
awry.
Right.
Right. Oh, that was and so
half the Avengers movies.
Right. It was on the whole it was funny. Mm-hmm. It was cute. Mm-hmm. It had a really good heart.
Yep.
To it where you realize that Peter Parker is really, I mean, he speaks of responsibility. He never says the line.
Right.
Which I also kind of appreciate.
Right.
Because it's not necessary.
No, at this point we all know.
We know, with great responsibility.
Right.
Yeah.
And
with great
I also
power.
like that sometimes he does uncomfortably dumb things because he's a teenager.
Yes. There was that whole emo section that was not... I didn't think it was too long. It almost was too long.
Yeah.
But luckily that it ended.
Yes.
And there was excellent action.
Yes.
The action sequences were amazing.
Yeah, and also I have to say, Zendaya, who plays Mary Jane, she's great.
Oh man, her timing is impeccable. She's
timing
hilarious.
is so good.
Yeah.
And her sort of awkward teenageness is perfect. It's just spot on.
Yeah. Yeah, the actors in it were great. I'm psyched Happy's in it.
Yep.
So Happy has a crush on Aunt May. And and they're in business together. It's a summer fling.
It's a summer fling, she says.
She says.
And
He's like, we're boyfriend, girlfriend. No, we're dating. We're going out. And
she's like, summer fling.
Summer fling. We don't know where this is going. And but yeah, so I'm psyched about Happy. That whole scene where he uses the Stark, where all of a sudden he's moving stuff around on the screen.
Oh, yeah.
Making armor. He's making his new Spider-Man suit.
He gets to make his new Spider-Man suit in the way that Tony Stark used to make his his Iron Man suits. It's a great moment.
Right, it's sort of a mantle kind of where Happy's like, oh, good.
Yeah.
There will be someone here. And then the Nick Fury.
Oh, yeah.
The spoilers.
Oh, right.
Just keep coming, you guys.
Right. So, Nick Fury, it kind of bothered me in the movie. Like when I was watching the movie, a little tickled the back of my brain that Nick Fury wasn't acting quite right. Like he was a little too harsh. I thought he was a little too harsh on Spider-Man.
Yeah. There wasn't enough humor. There wasn't enough.
He's usually a better people person. Right. He's good at manipulating people. He's usually a better manager. A better manager of people.
Yeah, he's really good management skills.
Right.
It's one of his skills as head of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right. And in this one, he's just sort of like...
He's bossy.
He's bossy, and and he makes Peter feel bad, which I don't think...
No, I don't... Well, and then it's revealed. How insane was the... Because what was the first stinger? What was the first...
The first stinger was that one.
No, the first stinger... No. Oh, the first stinger was Mysterio...
Oh, yeah.
In the grave.
That's right.
Speaking from the grave. Like, because Mysterio's last line was, people will believe anything.
Right.
We're in an age where you can tell people anything and they'll believe it.
That's right. And you'll find out.
And you'll find out. And then he dies, and then he asks Edith, Peter asks Edith if he's really dead or if it's still illusion. Mm-hmm. And Edith says that he's really dead.
Well, she says there are no illusions running.
There are no illusions running.
Right.
But I don't know if I believe her. Just because...
Right. We also see that we cut to one of his other guys pulling a USB drive out of a machine and shutting the machine off.
Oh, right. The little guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy who developed all the weapons.
Yeah. Because there's just 1,000 drones.
Yeah.
And there was that reference to the Spider-Verse in when Mysterio introduces himself as from a different Earth.
From a different Earth, yeah.
So we Earth 616? Were those Earth numbers right?
Yes. So the main... I've touched something here, and now
your headphones
are clipping out.
Okay. It's got a little bit of a short, the headphone jack.
Okay, it's just the headphones and not the mic.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. See, so he's the main Marvel universe is Earth 616.
Okay.
And he was claiming to be from 8-something.
818.
818. That's he's here, the Valley.
He's here in the Valley.
And and so there's a great moment where like Peter's like, well, wait, there's multiverses. That means the multiverse theory is real, and he goes off into into full on science mode.
Right.
And nobody else in the room knows anything about what he's talking about.
Right. and then Mysterio says, never be afraid to be the smartest guy in the room.
That's right.
Which felt supportive, but then it was a sign of his madness.
Right.
Because he always felt like he was the smartest guy in the room.
Right. Also a little buttering up of his target, right?
Of his target, yeah.
Yeah, a little pandering to his to his target.
Right. And it's interesting because you said this when we came home, that you were psyched that this was that he was a smart Spider-Man.
Yeah.
The way they've written him is he's the science guy.
Right.
Because when MJ gives him that projector,
right,
he's like, this is incredibly advanced tech. He pulls it apart.
Right.
All these things. And she's like 67% sure that now everybody knows that he's Spider-Man, by the way.
Right. Oh, yeah. So Quentin Beck reveals to the world in the first stinger
that, first of all, he manipulates all the footage to make it look like Spider-Man created the illusions,
Right.
Murdering people in London.
Yep.
And then he murdered,
Quentin Beck.
yeah, Mysterio, and then he reveals his secret identity.
Right.
All in a row. Bam, bam, bam.
All in a row.
And then Jonah Jameson comes on.
All presented to us through the Daily Bugle.
The Daily Bugle.
And I almost clapped because it was the
actor.
Guy, the actor playing J. Jonah Jameson is the same actor. I forget that guy's name.
But from the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans.
Yep. He's been
Spidermans.
I can't remember whether he was in the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, whether J. Jonah Jameson even appeared in those movies.
Right.
But now he's still J. Jonah Jameson, and he's perfect. He was perfect back in the Tobey Maguire movies, and he's perfect for this.
He was terrible. Jameson is such a terrible guy. He's such a bad guy. And so I don't like him, but the actor really nailed him.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So that's the first stinger.
Right.
And then the second stinger.
This is the good one. You're going to want to stay until the very end to see this.
The very end to see this. Well, hopefully you've already seen it.
You've already seen it. Otherwise, you're not listening to this.
Right.
But we were psyched because it was Talos and his wife, the Skrulls.
The Skrulls.
They were
pretending to be Nick Fury and Anita Hill.
Yeah, and doing an excellent job.
Anita Hill? That's not right. Anita Hill is...
You're right. It's not Anita Hill. It is Hill.
Oh, my God.
Agent Hill.
Yeah, Anita Hill is the lawyer.
Yep.
Clarence Thomas.
Yep.
I'll be over here.
She's collapsed in a fit of her own.
Just the worst. This on top of the fact that I couldn't get Schrodinger's cat thing right.
What was...
That was just on Jackie and Laurie. Whatever.
Right.
I am having a brain...
Well, I'm having the same one. I can't remember Agent Hill's first name.
Right. Well, Angela.
Nope.
It starts with an A. I'm almost certain it starts with an A. Well, Steve Mandel is listening to this.
Somebody's listening to this, and they're going...
Brian Tatosky.
And they're screaming the name repeatedly at us.
Do you know that I said Anita Hill about 10, 15 minutes earlier, too?
Yes.
It's the second time I've said it.
And I followed you. I like...
Right, you just let it pass because you didn't know.
I even said it, too.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We're in this together, you and I.
When we got married.
We got all of our errors.
we got to share our errors.
We got to share all of our unforced errors.
Oh my God! In other news,
anyways,
Talos, those guys are playing the heads of S.H.I.E.L.D.
and his wife from
Captain Marvel.
From Captain Marvel, are
for some reason not colonizing a new planet,
right?
From the 1990s,
and they call the actual Nick Fury, who seems to be out in space with the other Skrulls.
Right, he's got a coconut drink, and he's supposedly on a beach.
Right, and you pull back and his nose,
and it's another hologram. It's another VR thing.
Yeah, and they're in space, and he's too super casual about all of this.
It's like, and the last line is something about his shoes.
Right, who's got my shoe?
Who's got my shoes? And there was a tiny child sitting next to us who repeated it, which is why I know exactly what he said. And
right, because I didn't quite catch it. It cut too quickly.
It was
who's got my shoe?
But I do want to see it again. I want to see it. I think it'd be great in 3D. In the good 3D.
Let's go watch it in like the IMAX 3D.
Yeah, well,
but not the D-bag.
No, not D-bag, not D-box. There's but there's at the Chinese theater in. That's where we saw Guardians 2 in IMAX 3D.
Yes.
And then we accidentally saw Black Panther in Smell-O-Vision.
Which was
I think, a D-bag kind of situation. It was the D-box Smell-O-Vision.
It was Smell-O-Vision and punch you in the butt periodically.
Hey, I'm trying to watch a movie. I wanted to tell the special effects.
And yet the seat is actually punching me in the butt.
Why is we're supposed to be on a truck.
Right.
Anyway.
We're bumping along on a truck. All right, I get it.
I get it. And then the flower in Black Panther.
Oh, it's the
worst. Was so stinky.
It was so stinky. It was just like that super strong rose petal smell that they would just blast into the theater every time that the flower
That any of the heart-shaped flower was introduced into the plot.
Heart-shaped flowers smell like roses, according to the Hollywood.
But a New Jersey Turnpike version of...
That's super strong.
Yeah.
Not like a nice, rose water.
Right. Nothing. Not good. Okay, so were there any characters in the movie that you only know that I didn't know? Like Mysterio was one of them.
Yeah. No. All of his high school buddies are all people who were around in Peter's high school buddies. Oh,
in the Spider-Man comics?
Yeah, they were, but they've been recast.
Sure, and reimagined and everything,
right.
Yeah.
And so, and then given slightly different backgrounds because of the blip.
Right, the blip.
Right,
Man,
so his rival for MJ's heart is
Brad.
Was it Brad?
It was Brad, because he tried to kill Brad.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I think he might be new then. I don't remember a Brad from the comics.
Right. In the comics, he was probably called Doug.
He did have a rival, and I'm trying to remember what the rival
for MJ's
name.
affections.
Well, yes. To a certain degree, there was a lot of Riverdale High kind of
Archie and Jughead kind of situation.
Kind of stuff
Veronica
going on with Peter Parker and his high school buddies.
I did like. Who do we think that woman was who made the costume for him in the shed? That Doug Brad came in and took a picture of them.
Oh, right. It's another S.H.I.E.L.D. agent.
She felt like a Black Widow agent. Because she felt very Euro.
Yeah. She was definitely
European
like a local
spy.
Right, and she'd come to give him his stealthy black.
I did like when Peter put the glasses, when he put the Edith glasses on initially, and he's seeing everybody, the witch, the witch hunter.
Yeah, it turns out one of his teachers is labeled by Edith as Professor of Witchcraft. And I was like, what? Wait, what?
Yeah, Edith can read everybody's text messages, and Ned and Betsy or whatever are texting back and forth. I miss you, and they're sitting right next to each other.
Next to each other,
more.
canoodling, and they're texting each other. I miss you more.
Oh my gosh! But I did like that he was like, "What is MJ doing anything?" He's like, "No, don't check."
Right.
And the learning curve on him learning how to use Edith was interesting, because when he calls down the drone strike on Brad, he doesn't know that he's calling down a drone strike.
Right. There's definitely an interface problem there.
There's a user interface problem of just like, is that your go-to, Edith? That's not cool.
Right.
What's happening?
But remember, there was a similar gag in the first movie when he's learning to use the new suit.
Oh, right. The kill.
The kill's like, do you want to be put on kill mode?
Right.
I'm like, what?
No, I don't want to be put on kill. And then he uses kill mode in Endgame. Remember when he used kill mode?
Yeah.
Against...
Totally paid it off.
Yeah.
You can't put a kill mode in movie one.
That's what Chekhov said.
That's right.
It was never introduce a kill mode into the plot.
Into movie one if you're not going to use it by movie 4.
Mm-hmm. I liked that Aunt May had more lines and more scenes.
Yep, because she's great. Marissa Tomei, great.
Marissa Tomei... Is it Marissa Tomei?
Yeah.
All right.
What did I say?
No, that's exactly what you said. And I just got in my head. Oh, I know. Because Rosario Dawson plays the night nurse on the TV show.
Right.
And
they're different people.
They're totally different people, it turns out. So we were trying to figure out what's coming out next.
Yep.
And nothing fast enough. That's what I have to say. Nothing fast enough.
Right. Nothing until May of next year, right?
May and then November 2020. I don't even think May. It's supposed to be Black Widow, Black Panther, Doctor Strange.
Oh, Black Widow is later this year.
Guardians of the Galaxy. No, I think it's next year for Black Widow. 2020.
2020?
Yeah.
You sure?
They don't even have a name for Black Widow.
No, they don't.
Though... in August, there's a Disney 23 event, which is, I guess, like an E3.
It's a convention for Disney fans.
Yeah. And so that's when they're going to announce...
Called D23.
D23? Mm-hmm. What does it stand for besides Disney?
That's it. Oh, what's the 23 stand for? Oh, I got nothing on that.
This is the 23rd movie.
Yeah, but that's the D23 has been D23 every year for the last...
Maybe 23 years.
Who knows how long.
Maybe that's how long they plan to have them. And then they're going to wrap it up.
Yeah, no.
No? Okay. So...
I'm sure there's a reason for it, but I don't know what it is.
Okay. But I read an article, very powerful article, that they're going to announce the release names and release dates of these movies. And I'm looking forward to that. Oddly enough. Because it's going to be weird, though, because Phase 3 is over of the Marvel movies, right?
Yeah.
This was the last one.
Yep. This is it.
So Phase 4 is just going to be some free-for-all, or...
Well, I mean, they're basically planning another big arc. Or what they're saying is that they're not planning any big arcs. That they're just going to let let the world sort of grow.
One-shots?
Yeah, organically.
Okay.
I don't believe them.
Oh, interesting.
Right. I don't have any evidence to suggest that I shouldn't believe them.
Right.
But I don't believe them.
Well, because why would they not have another big arc planned when this worked so well?
Right.
Nobody has ever said, hey, it works really well, let's change it.
Right.
Well, no one's ever done it successfully. You're just like, it's not broken. That's why the saying is it's not broken, don't fix it.
Right. I mean, on the other hand, they let them do what they did already.
Yeah.
23 movies.
And I wonder if they had the big arc. Like, when was Thanos first introduced into those teasers, those stingers?
Avengers 1.
Okay, so we're 6 movies in. By the 5.
It's the 5th movie, yeah.
I believe it's the 5th movie.
Yep.
So that's when they're like, oh, we need a big plan. This is going very, very well.
Is that right? Let me think. Or do we see him before that?
Because we're talking
Because he's actually like, he's actually got lines in the movie in Avengers 1. So he must have been before that.
Where he was just an image?
There was a stinger, I bet the internet would know.
Yeah.
There was a stinger where somebody says something and then we just get a smile on some...
That smile.
The smile, and that's it.
I think that's... You know what? I think it's Thor.
Thor. Okay.
Which I think is movie 3 or 4.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is early to start introducing Thanos into the plot.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking...
But then the Avengers he's literally involved in the Avengers, the first Avengers movie.
Right.
Because he's the one sending the Githyanki. That's not right either. Chitauri, thank you.
Yeah. Githyanki is D&D, I think,
yeah,
right?
It is.
Yeah. Dungeons and Dragons, you guys. Rangers. We're mixing our... we got the Incredibles. We got the...
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he's fully involved in the arc by the time we get to Avengers 1.
And what was it? It was Iron Man 1 and 2, First Avenger, and then Thor, and Hulk.
Well, not so. I
Before Avengers.
I always forget about the Hulk because I don't really count it.
Right.
But it was it's Hulk, Captain America, Thor, Iron Man 1 and 2. So Avengers is technically number 6, I guess.
Right, but the Hulk is such a weird.
Yeah. It's a pretty.
Just because of the casting is so different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was pre everything.
Fair enough. Well, I mean, we don't have to do a full hour on this. Is there any?
No, I mean, what else? I wanted to talk about the first moment that I knew. So, knowing that Mysterio was a bad guy, as soon as I saw that there was a Mysterio in the movie, I was like, probably the bad guy.
Right.
The first time when I'm sitting in the movie and I know that there's that everything is fishy, is when Mysterio is talking about the history of these elemental beings
from his planet,
and how at the beginning of the universe, these things were created from the four basic elements of the universe. And I was thinking hydrogen, oxygen, and he goes earth, air, wind, and fire. And I'm like, no, wait a minute.
Right, what's the name of that band? And oh, that was a funny line when Peter Parker says, "I love Led Zeppelin."
That's right.
And it was AC/DC,
It's AC/DC,
right?
yeah. And Happy has put on some music.
Right,
and,
on the jet while he's making his...
And it's, AC/DC, and Peter Parker's like, oh, I love this. I love Led Zeppelin.
Right, I was like...
Not Led Zeppelin.
And even I, Jackie Cation, thought to myself, this doesn't sound like Led Zeppelin.
It was not Led Zeppelin.
And it was AC/DC, which is also another very famous band.
Yes.
That I don't know anything about. But
right. Clearly, neither does Peter Parker.
Me and Peter Parker. Yeah, there was some reference to Star Wars. Mm-hmm. That Peter Parker wouldn't like something unless it was...
then he wouldn't understand it unless it was a reference to Star Wars.
Which is interesting. I did like it in Civil War when he was talking about the really old movies. Because he brought down Ant-Man, giant Ant-Man, Giant Man, by going around his legs like Hoth.
Like on Hoth, right.
Yeah. He said, remember that old movie?
Right. And so that's another thing. It's like... I teach students who are more or less, they're a little bit older. They're even older than Peter Parker's meant to be.
It's supposed to be, yeah.
Even with the 5-year blip.
Right.
So which means that all this happens in the future anyway.
Right. Right. We're 5
actually
years
watching
from
20 something that happens in 2023, right?
Yeah.
When they say that about Peter Parker, I had a thought. It's like, no, because my students don't know Star Wars.
Right. They weren't. It wouldn't be a Star Wars reference that he would need.
No, he would. It would be like Avatar.
Right.
The Last Airbender. It would be that.
Yeah. It would have to be a different.
Yeah.
Life-changing thing that he saw. Air Bud.
That's right.
Something.
So it's like Star Wars references are for us who are 40s to 50s.
40s and 50s, right. The 16 to 20-year-olds, it's going to be Smash Brothers.
Right.
It's probably a video game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's certainly Pokemon and Last Airbender and those sorts of things.
Yeah. Because he's supposed to be 16.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not Star Wars.
Nope. But it's how you can tell that everything's being written by a 45-year-old.
Right.
So that's the way it goes. And they're doing a pretty good job.
Right. It's but who's it for? It's for us.
Right.
Although we were sitting next to a family, and the little girl in the family seemed to be enjoying it just as much.
Yeah, she was having the time of her life.
She was having a nice time.
Yeah. And then when it got romantic, she would weed off a little bit. But she was about 6 or 7 years old.
Right. She was very young.
I didn't begrudge her that at all. Even though I was like, no, this is a nice part. This is a nice part where he's going to try to. I did think it was interesting. It was hard that watching them destroy those cities, though, because you're like. I mean, it made it very, very clear that Syndrome, or Mysterio, wanted to be a hero more than he wanted to save people's lives or do anything decent, right?
Right.
Because he was just a terrible person. He was killing people and destroying all kinds of historical monuments.
Yep.
It's like, that belongs in a museum.
That's right.
Hi, Indiana Jones. All right. Another reference from the 80s.
That's right. Peter Parker would not get.
That he wouldn't get. He would not, indeed.
I enjoyed. You mentioned earlier them in London with the crown jewels. Mm-hmm. How they just managed to run into the vault.
Right.
Nobody's around. Nobody guarding the vault.
Right.
Nobody shutting the vault before they run away.
Right. And just a couple of nutcracker guys, those redcoats with machine guns.
Right.
Which I thought was interesting because the guys in those uniforms I thought were ceremonial. I thought it was normal soldiers with the fancier weapons. Like the people in those dress uniforms. I thought that they had sort of old timey guns at least.
No, I don't think so.
But they might have
I think they're modern.
modern with shaker helmets.
Yeah.
With those tall band.
Yeah.
Marching band helmets.
Yeah.
It was pretty great. Or rat-a-tat-tat. With your marching band outfit on. That was kind of great.
And I like the everybody like confessing to each other.
Oh, right. It was like, I have a fake ID I've never used. It's I have a crush on Peter Parker's. I have a crush on Spider-Man's aunt. And what were the other two? Oh, he posts those. The rich kid.
The rich kid posts everything on posts meaningless stuff on.
And then Happy was nice. And Happy said, "That's how we found you.
That's how we found you. Don't beat yourself up."
And then the rich kid said, "Spider-Man follows me."
And MJ's confessed that she's that she can't not tell people the truth even when it hurts their feelings.
Right. Yeah, that felt real.
No, that felt totally real.
That felt real solid. It felt like a real solid on MJ's part right there. I'm reading that, doing a very good reread of that Lady Sherlock series. Mm-hmm. I don't mean to weed off.
No, that's okay.
Okay. Sherry Thomas wrote this thing called Lady Sherlock Holmes or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's a Victorian England recasting of Sherlock Holmes as a woman in
Fun.
Victorian clothes.
I need to dig out the 21 Baker Street, or just the Baker Street comic books from the 80s.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I always liked those.
Because that was like...
was that a reimagining?
Yeah, it was a reimagining set in punk London.
In the 80s?
Yeah.
A Sherlock Holmes in the 80s in punk London?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to pull those. Who wrote that? Any idea?
I don't remember.
Who published it?
It was Caliber at the time.
Okay.
They're out of business now.
Okay.
And the artwork was, I'm going to mind block his name, but he's one of my faves.
Okay. I bet you it's gorgeous.
It's cool. It's black and white.
Yeah.
It's pen and ink drawings.
Oh, that's...
and it's great. But anyways, tell me about the book.
Oh, anyway, but the Lady Sherlock, it's sort of this, you know how the TV show, the Benedict Cumberbatch TV show, and many depictions of Sherlock Holmes make him have, spectrum issues and sort of this savant kind of level of intelligence.
Yep.
And what I like about the Lady Sherlock series is that how does that manifest in a world where there are expectations of her as a woman to not be these things. And then because she is also not, she's also a woman of a certain stature socially. So she's not supposed to, it makes me think of the woman who actually invented computing, mm-hmm. Byron's daughter, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. and how she was considered very odd and eccentric.
Right.
And hard to hang out with. Not Braun.
Nope.
But someone was... there's a Dork Forest where she was... someone dorked out about her. I can't remember her name. But I liked... Because that's what... MJ has this sort of this fierce intelligence mm-hmm. that she doesn't know what to do with.
Right.
Because she's, first of all, a child. She's written as this child. And so she is... socially not great.
Right.
And so I love the writing on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's great. And again, the actress. That actress nails it.
Yeah.
She's so good.
Everybody, like the kid who plays Ned mm-hmm. is such a fun, like oblivious, he wants to be a bachelor and...
Right. But not.
Not when offered non-bachelorhood.
Right.
And I liked... It is so. Oh wait, I know what I wanted to ask you about. So you did Obsessed with Joseph Scrimshaw.
Yes.
About character cars.
Oh yes,
Hot Wheel character cars.
Yes.
What character cars do you see coming out of this this particular?
Well, I have seen on eBay that there is a Mysterio car. I just
Oh.
haven't seen it in the stores yet. But somebody has seen it in the stores because they bought it and put it on eBay.
Right, and
So
it's
it's coming.
prohibitively expensive.
Yeah, it's like $10.
Oh, not
And
yet.
I mean, it'll show up in the stores. I'm not worried about
And it's
that.
only $4. And these
Yeah.
these Hot Wheel character cars, if people have not listened to your episode of Obsessed with
So
Joseph
it's
Scrimshaw.
the idea is that these are like the Batmobile is the car that Batman would drive.
Right.
The Batman character car is the car that Batman would be if he was a car. And so Hot Wheels has made a bunch of these for DC Comics, for Marvel Comics, for Star Wars, and for some other things like the Warner
Looney
Brothers,
Tunes.
Looney Tunes, and Mario,
Right.
and a few other and a handful of other small things like that. But the ones I love are the hero cars and the Star Wars cars.
Right.
And so we were talking about what cars would Mysterio for sure.
Mysterio, there is one.
Right.
Okay.
There is one. The other one that they really ought to do is the Night Monkey version, because this is what Spider-Man is trying to pretend that he's. They're trying to hide the fact that Spider-Man's in Europe because he's trying to maintain his anonymity
yeah.
from his classmates who would figure it out if Spider-Man kept showing up wherever his class was.
right.
And
secret
and so
identity.
So Shield has given him a new suit, which is just black, and it's just basically a
Just like a climbing outfit with a mask.
Yeah. There's nothing much to it.
Right. It does seem to have Kevlar.
Yep.
So-
yeah. Some Kevlar body armor and a full head mask.
Right.
But they kept his Spider-Man shaped eyes,
They kept his Spider-Man shaped eyes, and he was using webbing,
and he was using webbing.
which,
Right. Well, I mean that's his thing.
right. They can't give him new weapons, I guess.
Right.
So,
And but the but Ned, when confronted with it, has to make up a name for who he is.
right, because he's
calls
sitting
him-
with his.
and calls him Night Monkey.
He's Night Monkey. Maybe he was bit by a different spider. A night monkey.
A spider monkey.
A spider monkey.
Why has he got webs? Maybe he was bit by a spider monkey.
I think that's what Peter says to MJ.
That's right.
That's it.
That's right.
Yeah. So what would a Night Monkey character car look like?
So I think it's the same base car as the Spider-Man car. They've done two versions of it. One where it's just the base car, and one where it's got these plastic legs sticking up off of it when for the Iron Spider.
Yeah.
In the Avengers movies when he's got these sort of robotic legs, and but this one I think is the base car, just matte black with maybe some
those buckles and stuff.
the buckles and things, which could be like the detail of the clothes manifested as just as glossy places of black.
Right,
So it'd
and
be
matte.
black on black.
Yeah.
And maybe a textured roof where like the knit to try to
Because there was that knit
simulate
part
the
of it.
knit cap that Night Monkey wears. It's basically
Monkey.
It's basically a balaclava,
Right. It's just
a modified knit balaclava. So
yeah.
so that would be fun. That would be fun to see a Night Monkey car.
Right.
And it'd be funny to call it Night Monkey.
I want it to be like a Kit the Car, and then but made Night Monkey. I don't know. So, but there might be a new Spider-Man. There's definitely a Mysterio,
Right.
and then there's maybe a Night Monkey. Would
Well,
there
I
be a
mean,
Talos car? Do you think like a Talos as
you know
Fury?
what? They should have a Talos car because they only did one car for Captain Marvel,
Just her,
just her,
right?
and so they may only do Mysterio for this one. But if they did a smaller set, like Talos would be a good one to have in there because now
Right.
he's been in 2 movies.
He's been in 2 movies. He's got the Skrull chin.
But what would you do with a shape-shifting car? What would that mean?
Oh, right. Is there a Thanos car?
There is.
I wonder what that looks like. Does it have the chin?
Yes, absolutely has the chin. It's a truck. It's a flatbed truck with
Oh,
the
that's right. It's a big one.
with the with like a chest strapped to it that's got the Infinity Stones.
Oh, okay.
So it's got like basically
It's
a
not the
chest.
gauntlet. It's just a box.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And it's basically a flatbed truck.
Yeah, the Talos, that would be hard. It would be, if it were a Super Skrull, you could do sort of like my Avenger vans, where
Right.
you'd have like different, you'd have all the different colors.
The traditional Super Skrull is the Fantastic Four, where each His one arm is fire and his other arm is rock, and he's stretchy and invisible.
Wow, was that the first Super Skrull?
I think that was the first Super Skrull. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the classic Super Skrull. But then
the
the
Skrulls
other
can
Super
just
Skrulls,
change and look like people,
right?
And they don't get their powers,
right? But Super Skrulls can also manifest their powers of the people there.
Wow. That.
And in some cases, Super Skrulls can manifest more than one set of powers at the same time.
Yeah, which is why they've always considered bad guys.
Yeah.
So, I can't wait for the next movie.
I know it. It's just whet my appetite for more Marvel.
A little bit more.
You would think that I'd be done by now.
I know. We have barely watched any of the TVs, though.
True.
We got Cloak and Dagger to finish and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
That's right.
Those are the ones that we're trying to keep up on to some extent.
Right. And I've heard that there's some other ones that I should probably be watching. I heard Legion is really good. I watched the first season. I really liked it.
Okay. That's Marvel?
That's Marvel.
Okay.
It's X-Men.
Oh, it's an X-Men one.
Yep.
Okay.
In the comics, Legion is Charles Xavier's son. Who's got 1 million personalities in his head, and each one has a different superpower.
Oh my God!
So, and not all of them are good people.
No. That's
And in the show, they haven't yet tied him directly to the X-Men, but it's great.
Yeah.
The first season is really great, and I've heard really good things about
the second.
Second season too.
Okay. Well. There's plenty of content coming too.
Plenty of content coming.
Right.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of new Disney Channel stuff that's coming with some of it animated.
Right, some of it live action. Yeah. All right.
Super fun.
Well, this has been a spoiler episode.
Spoiler alert.
Of alert after the fact for sure. Whoop 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 whoop. It was Spider-Man.
Spider-Man Far From Home.
And thank you for doing the Dork Forest, Andy Ashcraft, in your own home.
Well, it's the least I can do, and I always do the least I can do.
Rangers, you know the rules out there. Take care of each other.
My hat, my hat, my hat. They're dancing around my hat. My hat, my hat, my hat. Well, what do you think of that? If it looks like a Mexican hat dance and it sounds like a Mexican hat dance, it's most likely a Mexican hat dance. So take off your hat and let's dance.
Yay! Oh my God. Why don't we just call that as the end of the show?